Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, man. Episode 62, week 8 of the NFL season coming right around the corner, man. Jumping into our last week pick'ems, man. Not a good week for either of us, man. A lot of shocking games around the league. We went 5-8 both. You still with the 2-game lead at 63 and 43. I'm sitting at 61 and 45 on the year, man. But before we jump into our week 8 picks, I'm going to hit you with, one hot or not that's kind of been going around the league. Big question mark throughout pretty much this entire season and last offseason. I've yet to ask you, hot or not, the NFL should ban the Tush push.
Come on, man. I'm obviously going to say that's a hot take and they shouldn't ban it. I guess people think it's like a controversial play or whatever, but time and time again, you see teams not able to execute it. The Monday night game was a perfect example. On the goal line, Kirk Cousins goes for a little tush push and Fred Warner just jumps over and blows it up. Like, it just didn't work. For these teams that don't have, a center especially, I think is the key part, like Jason Kelce, who's just so good at getting low and creating that small lane, and Jalen Hurts using his legs and that strength and pushing the pile, like it's just not the same. Now, will it get banned? I don't know. I feel like it's still up in the air. Like it's still close. But yeah, as an Eagles fan, obviously I'm gonna say that's a hot take. They shouldn't ban it at all. Like the Eagles have kind of like made it their signature play. Like why would you take that out of the game? That's like if you're a pitcher and your best pitch is a curve and you throw a better curveball than every other pitcher, like that's your signature pitch. That's what you're known for. League not gonna take it out the game just because you do it better. So, no, I think they should keep it in the league. Keep it.
I agree with you, man. I just watching the full Eagles game is that Dolphins Eagles game. I saw it happen a bunch of times. I don't think they should ban it. You're 100% right. Eagles so effective with it. They get like 3 yards every time they do it.
Yeah,
you can run that play 3 times, and I think they'd get a first down almost every drive. But
sooner or later, they already did it earlier this year, but you're gonna see a variation of something where like Hurts like rolls out, or they pitch it out, or it's gonna be a pass. They're gonna add a little wrinkle to it. Like it just works too much right now for them to not like add to it and make it an even better play. So I'm sure somewhere down the line, like in a big game or something, we'll definitely see them pull out like a pitch to one of those push guys, or maybe like Hurts like hands it off like in the pile like behind him or something. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see.
And keeping it, I guess, on the same track as the Philadelphia Eagles, man. New addition this week, man. You've been asking for that secondary help. Eagles, they finally get it, man. What are your thoughts?
I think Kevin Byard, all pro. He's been one of the best safeties in the league for years, and now at this point from Tennessee, he was kind of like a staple, like the best defensive player on that team for a while. So, it's just exactly what this Eagles team needs: another veteran presence who has experience, knows what he's doing, and will help in that secondary. And you kind of saw the player we traded away for him kind of got exposed in that Sunday night game against the Dolphins. Edmonds took a bad angle. Now, granted, it was against Tyreek Hill. I can't blame him for that. But if you get Kevin Byard back there, a better player, maybe he takes a better angle, gets a better read, gets there quicker, maybe makes a play on the ball, or, make it harder for Tyreek to catch. But, in all seriousness, you can't ask anybody to guard that. Tyreek's just different. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I want to see him come in, maybe not be an impact player or be as good as Chauncey Gardner was last year for us, but I think he can play in that kind of similar role where Chauncey Gardner was kind of like a do-it-all player for us in the back last year. He came down in the box, over the top, was able to help in the nickel at times as well. Just an overall Swiss Army knife, a guy that's, played a lot of NFL football, and that'll definitely be a big help in that secondary. Although we saw him make a couple plays that Sunday night game, I think, because our pass rush isn't getting home at a historical level like it was last year, maybe now that Byard's back there, that quarterback holds on the ball a tick longer and helps that pass rush get going. But, it's literally exactly what this Eagles team needed. You can't really complain. 30 years old, a little on the older side, but when you're playing safety, you don't need an elite athlete back there. He's already playing so far off the ball. You just want somebody smart, able to read the quarterback, good in zone coverage, and who's a ball hawk, able to make plays on the ball. And I think Kevin Byard brings all of that to this Eagles team, and I think it'll be fun to watch him playing. I think we see the corners get a little better too. Maybe, Slay and Bradbury get a little more aggressive now that they know they have someone like Kevin Byard over the top, Reed Blankenship when he gets back healthy. Whereas before, a lot of just throwing guys back there. Rookie Cindy Brown was back there. Justin Evans had some play earlier this season for the Eagles. But, there's nothing like Kevin Byard who has, his name holds weight in the league. You feel me? So I think it's just overall helps the defense tremendously. I think it's a great pickup, especially what we gave up for
him. Keeping it trade deadline, the end of next week? I think the 30th, 31st.
I think, yeah,
31st. Yeah. So next week,
literally a week, I think, right?
Yeah. 7 days. Recording on the 24th. So, we're going to get some, more trades. Usually last week of the trade deadline, names start flying around. We've already been hearing a bunch of names flying around. And a bunch of teams, jumping into those trade rumors as buyers or sellers. Then the Cowboys came out today and said they are not participating in the trade deadline. Jerry Jones,
Classic
GM owner Jerry Jones, went ahead and he said the roster was good. I don't know what his, football knowledge is up to, but he said it's fine. So, that's how the Cowboys are rocking. But two teams that have, kind of been named sellers now, the Titans after that trade. Derrick Henry's also getting some calls around the office.
I saw a report saying like pretty much anyone's available right now for the Titans, and outside of Derrick Henry, who I wouldn't even be that extremely high on in the first place, like who do they really have to offer? So we'll see. I don't know.
The Panthers have been another team. The Broncos. The Jets had some names, even though, they're not true sellers. Vikings, obviously, but Vikings, 2 wins in a row. So maybe things changed. And then the Pats as well. They caught a dub against Buffalo. First time in a while they won a game this year. I'm not sure what week it was, but it's been some weeks. They got a win against the division rival Bills. The Panthers, I think Jeremy Chin, Dante Jackson, Terrence Marshall. And maybe, I know Brian Burns, the superstar pass rusher, has always been off the block. Maybe this is the year Panthers pull a trigger because they don't have a first-round pick. Traded to the Tech. No.
Yeah, they traded up to the number 1 pick for Bryce Young. I think they traded, like 2 first, DJ Moore, to move up for Bryce Young with the Bears.
Oh, yeah, it was the Bears. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could be looking for, some picks in return, especially after the way this year's gone. And, Bryce Young needs some help. This team is not nearly there. They got some good pieces they can move and get some, decent value for. The Broncos, it's been swarming with Jerry Jeudy, who now has, character issues. People say the, locker room type player, but
just that Broward in him, man.
I won't even say it's just the Broward, man. I saw something that was like, I'd have character issues if I played for the Broncos too. You're not lying. You're a receiver in that 2 years under Let Russ cook and, going from Nate Hackett to Sean Payton right now. I couldn't blame him if Jeudy wanted out right now, to be honest. And, I think they're looking for, 3rd-round pick, 2nd-round pick. I'm not sure what exactly they're looking for his value, but I would expect the team to go out and trade for Jerry Jeudy. They need some receiver help. Saw the Browns in there. They might, try to beef up that wide receiver room, but
yeah, the Browns need more than just a receiver right now, though.
I totally agree, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, not so sure how much that will help you guys.
Justin Simmons, another name has been thrown out there for the Broncos, veteran safety. That would have been a guy for the Eagles, but now with that new addition, probably gone. And then the Jets, I wrote this last week, so McCole Hardman was on that list. He went ahead and packed his bags back to KC. Dalvin Cook, who was the big offseason, acquisition, to where the Jets kind of overpaid for Dalvin Cook and just not utilize him at all. Probably get traded this season. And then maybe Carl Lawson, who's been a healthy scratch, past couple weeks. I think he's a healthy scratch this week as well. That's another name. And then the Pats, they really don't have much. But Kendrick Bourne, if a team needs wide receiver help, seeing his name thrown in there to pair with, the Vikings. And obviously, I think they came out today and said they're not trading Kirk. But Danielle Hunter's still on the table. Vikings maybe feel like they could get a playoff push going. Tough matchup this week, I believe. But those are really the names I've kind of been seeing around there and the teams that have been involved. Not sure what you got on your end.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The trade deadline is so tricky. Like, it's always like this. You just hear so many rumors leading up to it. Like, will guys get moved? And maybe we see one big splash name. Like, Kevin Byard could easily be, like, the biggest name we see moved at the deadline. So, it's kind of hard to tell. You pretty much ran through everything. Those are all the names that I've seen as well. I've seen a couple names from the Commanders trying to become sellers too. I think Montez Sweat and Chase Young were two names that were kind of floating around there, but will they actually move on for him? Who really knows? So it's more of just a wait and see game. I think there are certain teams out there, like the Chiefs, who already made a push at Mecole Hardman and brought him back. Maybe they want some more receiver help. Their defense is already playing super, super good, but at some point you kind of want someone else just besides Travis Kelce catching the ball. She Rice has stepped up, but you probably want to see more from the receiving core to kind of just take the lead off of Kelce because he is an older tight end at this point. So I would just say, looking for those contenders, man, those teams that are really trying to make that push, trying to add one more piece to get over that hump, kind of like the Eagles did with that secondary addition. Like I just mentioned, the Bengals bringing back Mecole, someone who's very familiar with the offense, should be a seamless fit right back in. So those contending teams, maybe someone like the Dolphins looking for O-line help. They got a lot of bad injuries up front. The 49ers, maybe they look to bring in a receiver or two. Debo, he's been out. We saw Brock Purdy the other night without, Debo Samuel and Trent Williams on the offensive line. I'm sure we'll talk about that. But, yeah, the in-season trade deadline to me is more of like contending teams looking for like patchwork stuff, like it's not a trade that's going to like alter their organization, but maybe it's a little something that can give them a juice during the middle of the season to try to go contend for that Super Bowl. But yeah, you pretty much covered all the big names, everyone that's been, floating around on social media and stuff. So that was really it.
Yeah, I think the contract talks with Sweat and Young kind of died down with the Commanders, and then
it's the same for Brian Burns too. I saw they didn't extend him. He's been looking for a contract for like the past 2 years and just never got it. So he's gonna be a free agent. So it's like the Panthers want anything. If they're not gonna pay him, if they want anything for him. Like now's the time to trade him. You know. So.
And then you mentioned, it's not really gonna be big splash patchwork. A team that's lacking depth and injuries at this point in the year, trying to just get a suitable guy that, can plug and play at a not a ultra high level, but someone that could play at a, good level where it's serviceable at this point.
Although I think Brian Burns is the biggest name. Like if he's moved, he's the one player that could definitely he's still young enough. He could impact the franchise, for multiple years, not just this season.
I agree, man. That's going to wrap up, our little trade talks. Rumors swirling around. We'll have more information, next week when that trade deadline comes to an end. But, quickly, you talked about Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. I just had to. Micah Parsons, man. He said, I'm not sure if Taylor Swift's a good luck charm, but when you got a baddie up in the seats, man, it just make you play at a higher motor, man. That boy Micah's funny, man. Someone needs to take his mic, though, from that podcast.
Just proving the Jordan Poole effect, basically, man. That's all it is, confirming it.
Yeah, bro.
So everyone knows it's true, though. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You play sports, bro.
That boy Micah, hilarious, bro. I'm loving the player podcast going on, especially Micah, who just like he hops on stream, like he sits in front of his desk and does it. But yeah, let's jump into these pick'ems, man. Thursday night football, man. Bucks travel to Buffalo to play the Bills, and the Bills, I mean, we really don't know what they are at this point in the season, man. They got a lot of talent. Diggs, Josh Allen, they got their franchise quarterback, and right now things just aren't clicking on all cylinders for the Bills, and it seems like when one thing's good one week, the next week, kind of flip-flops. Injuries on defense have really hurt them as well, but I mean, that's a inexcusable loss last week to the, Patriots, who struggled all year and really couldn't get anything going the past, 5 weeks or so. So, I mean, I just got to go with the Bills just because the Bucks, man, they're like one of those teams that they don't excite you. I mean, they might get a couple wins, NFC South, but they don't really wow you. Baker and Mike Evans got back on the same page last week, but Josh Allen, Thursday night football, after a bad loss, the great quarterbacks, they don't lose 2 in a row that are, must win. I mean, should win games as well. So give me the Bills Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Bills here as well against the Bucks. But I do think there's some serious questions going on in Buffalo. Now, maybe if it was a better team than the Bucks, if you look at around the league, some teams that, wouldn't be too sure. Teams like, the Ravens, those upper echelon teams. I mean, the Dolphins at this point, because they get them again at home. The Chiefs. So, the Cowboys. I think there's definitely, a notch above the Bills at this point. Just because I think their issues are pretty, like you touched on. You didn't really go in depth, but you just mentioned, it's all around for the Bills. The offense, I believe, they've been slow in the 2 losses they had back to back. I don't think they scored in against Jacksonville or New England in the first half. I could be wrong, but very, very slow to start the offense. And then defensively, I mean, we were just talking about last week, Mac Jones and that New England Patriots offense is the least exciting thing to watch. And then you come down this game and let a game-winning touchdown drive with under 2 minutes by Mac Jones in this New England offense. Ramondre Stevenson takes a screen 30, 40 yards down the field and gets them into scoring position. It's just these are things the Bills used to not do at all. That defense used to be okay, you got to go score touchdowns in 2 minutes. If you're the Patriots or any team like that whose offense just isn't good, it's probably not going to happen. But we've seen this a few times. You mentioned injuries, but I mean, at this point in the season, everybody's injured. Every team has got some kind of injury, so not really the biggest excuse, although Matt Milano, huge loss for them. Trey White, another big loss. So I think this Bills team is definitely has some things they need to try to work on and fix quick if they want to contend like everyone thinks they are, and they have the quarterback talent too. So I think this is, prime time, Thursday night. These games have been kind of weird lately, but I think it's a get-right game for Josh Allen and the Bills. And I want to see someone else step up on the offense besides Stephon Diggs, because it's if Diggs isn't open and then Josh Allen just kind of doesn't know where he wants to go to the ball with the ball next. Saw Dawson Knox go out. He might be done for the rest of the season, so maybe we see the rookie tight end Kincaid step up. James Cook got a little more involved last game, but Latavius Murray still getting touches in that backfield. So it's kind of all over the place right now for the Bills. I want to see, outside of Stephon Diggs, a clear number 2 step up and kind of help this offense get going a little quicker and help that defense, because they've been on the field a bunch. So I think it's a get-right game for the Bills here.
Big play Gabe, man. He's going to step up big time, but
he steps up, but it's once every 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're not lying.
You'll see a random Gabe Davis showing when you just forgot he's
112
on the
yards,
team. Yeah.
2 touchdowns on 4 catches.
Exactly, yeah. And then the next week he'll have what he had last week against the Patriots, 1 catch for 6 yards. It's weird, but you want to see that consistency from him.
Next one up, man, the Battle of MetLife. The Jets play the Giants on the road. I mean, this is the showdown of, Zach Wilson and Is it going to be Daniel Jones, like Battle of New York? Who's the king of New York? I don't know. If I'm the Giants, I'm letting Tyrod Taylor ride at this point. He threw more first half touchdowns than Daniel Jones has all year, and he threw one. He had 2 touchdowns. I think that's more than Daniel Jones has had in a game this year, or just as much. Regardless of the fact, I mean, it's going to be the Jets' defense having to step up as always, and it's going to come down who makes the least amount of mistakes on the offense and who can make that one play as well. It's really going to come down to, in my opinion, the Giants. They've played some decent football the past couple of weeks. I don't know. They got me a little excited. I like Tyrod Taylor. Just give me the Giants in an absolute coin toss. Just maybe their defense steps up one game. I don't know, but I just couldn't pick the Jets.
Yeah, I think the Jets win this one. Coming off of a bye week, they get a week to get a little more healthy. I know 2 weeks ago in that win against the Eagles, both of their corners were banged up. I think Sauce was out with a concussion, that week rest, I'm sure, or 2 weeks at this point. He'll be back. He'll be healthy. Breece Hall coming off that ACL last year, another week of rest for him. That'll definitely help him as he's getting back to full speed, and he's looking really good this season too. So I think, as a couple pieces come back for the Jets, this defense, I mean, I saw firsthand that Eagles game. It's just tough to move the ball on them at all. And I think offensively, both of these offenses offset each other in terms of just not being that good or exciting. But I think the key factor here is going to be Breece Hall. He's just every game, he just has one or two runs where it's like that, like you just don't know how it happens, but he's down the field for 20 yards, and the next thing you know, he's breaking off a 50 or 40-yard run. So I think Breece Hall hits one or two of those big runs, and this Jets defense just gets the ball for their offense in plus position. And Zach Wilson hasn't really been able to make these mistakes because the defense has been so good this year. When you get the ball already in field goal range, you can hand the ball off 2 times and throw an incomplete pass and still walk away with points. So I think that's going to be the key to success. Probably a lower scoring game here. The Giants showing a little bit of life with Tyrod Taylor, but I just think this Jets defense and their run game is going to be too much for the Giants to handle, and they just pretty much play like old school nasty football and just keep the ball away from the Giants, who don't really have much to offer already on offense, although it's nice to see some of their perimeter weapons step up a little bit. Jalen Hyatt looking like Odell out there with a 13 on, going for the one-handed catch in the end zone. Darius Slayton had a couple nice catches, and Darren Waller finally getting to the end zone. Is all promising signs, but it's going to be a lot tougher against this Jets. Their front pass rush is as deep as anybody's in the league, honestly, at this point. They got pass rushers all over the line, interior and from the outside. They got lockdown guys on the boundary, and C.J. Mosley running that defense from the middle. He's a playmaker as well, veteran guy who has a bunch of experience. So I just think it's going to be a tough out. And offensively for the Giants, I'm not too sure who's going to, be that playmaker or difference maker. Both tackles were out last week. So against this Jets front, you definitely hope you can get Andrew Thomas and whatever Evan Neal can offer you at this point back on the line. So it'll be tough.
You really want him out there.
I mean,
but yeah,
it's going to be tough for the Giants offense. I think this Jets defense really gets after it. So I'm going to pick the Jets.
Next game up, man, Jacksonville Jaguars going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers, man, and Jags. Travis Etienne, he's been stepping up of late, becoming, kind of one of the top rushers in this league.
He's scoring touchdowns, bro.
This
left
point
and
in the
right.
Season. Calvin Ridley is basically non-existent in this offense. But the Jags, I mean, they've been finding ways to win games. I mean, they almost blew it against the Saints on Thursday night. I almost forgot who they played that week. Where easily could have went the Saints' way and the Jags could have went home losers, but they didn't. They play in the NFL, man. Almost ifs, ands, or buts doesn't matter when it comes to the end of the season. So the Steelers, man, I mean, I say it week in and week out. Someone that does watch them play. I saw another clip this week of, Kenny Pickett once again changing the play at the line of scrimmage and resulting in a Najee touchdown. So if Kenny Pickett's not killing the play 30 times a game, man. This Steelers offense is abysmal to watch, almost comparable to the New England Patriots, in my opinion. They do get Deontay Johnson back, opens up that offense a little bit. He had a solid week last week. Got right back to it, man. Almost no drop-off for him. But, I mean, the Jags, I've said it. Last year, they were a second-half team. So I'm thinking maybe this year they also trend in that second-half direction as well, to where you see T-Law become one of the best QBs in the league. And it's going to be a tough matchup against that Steelers defense that's thrown fits and problems all year long. But the Jags get a tough road win in a hostile environment against the Steelers.
I like the Steelers in this game. Although, you know, another week, I think the Jags, like you mentioned, played the Saints on Thursday night. So a couple extra days for Trevor Lawrence and that knee injury to heal up. I think that'll be big. This Jaguars offense, it has flashes. I don't think it's as consistent as some of the better offenses in the league. When you look at the Miamis, when you look at the Philadelphias and the Kansas City Chiefs of the world, but the Jags definitely have some flashes, some really, really high highs. You mentioned ETN. He's just scoring touchdowns all over the place. You got Christian Kirk, who's become stepping up as the number one in the slot. Evan Ingram. He's a really, really nice target for Trevor Lawrence as well. So the team has a lot of positive things going on for him, but the Steelers just find ways to win, bro. It's so weird. Like you mentioned, this offense, you know, similar to the Patriots, although I would say their weapons are very far ahead than the Patriots at this 100%. Point. Yeah, like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, shit. I mean, Najee, I think he's slightly worse than Ramondre, but I'm taking him over Zeke. Jalen Warren, I'm taking over Zeke at this point.
100%.
He got into the end zone.
Jalen Warren should be RB1, but
yeah, so I think that Steelers offense has potential. They showed strides last week against the Rams. So, and I know it was an away game, but we always joke about this. Like, there were so many Pittsburgh Steelers fans there. Like you know, these historic franchises, these teams that have a history of winning. There's games in LA. If the team travels good already, like, you might as well just chalk it up and say it's going to be a home game for them, because it was just ridiculous out there, man. But yeah, I think at home, TJ Watt just continues to just be a playmaker for the Steelers team. Even if it's a game where he doesn't get a sack, he ends up getting an interception and helping out this team and getting the offense the ball in plus field position. So he just has a nose for the ball. TJ Watt, I mean, he's just one of the best players in general, not even defensive players. Just finds ways to get involved, finds ways to make plays. Steelers at home, they're kind of riding high right now. They're on a little win streak. They won, I believe, was it 2 in a row? So I think the Steelers keep the momentum going, and they get a solid home win against the Jags, who they've been stepping up as well, offensively, defensively. The other Josh Allen, as they like to say, he's been very good this season. I think he's up there in sacks and pressure totals as well. So I think it'll be a good game. 1 or 2 big plays here or there, but ultimately I just like the Steelers at home. TJ Watt probably makes, you know, some crazy play, and everyone, Steeler fans are the worst, but I mean, they just, never mind, bro. I just give me the Steelers, bro.
They suck. I'll say it, bro. They suck. And Danielle Hunter leads the league in sacks right now with 9. It's crazy. Josh Allen does have 7 on the season. He's tied for 4th. TJ Watt 8. But yeah, Josh Allen, he's been balling this year. Really coming into his own, kind of what the Jags drafted him to be as, that superstar pass rusher. So it's good to see, you know, for those fans in Jacksonville. Next game up, man, your Philadelphia Eagles coming off a huge win. Travel to Washington to play the Commanders, and I mean, you've kind of been higher on the Commanders. Not a buyer of Sam Howell. They lost to the Giants last week. I picked them, the Giants, to win this week against the Jets, but I'm just throwing some things out there. Just give me the Eagles. I mean, I know it's a divisional matchup. It should be a little bit gritty, should be a little bit tough, but just give me the Eagles. I'm sure you'll cover.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Eagles here as well. And, you know, any faith in Sam Howell and that Commanders team I had, the very little I had to begin with, is just after watching some of those plays and a little bit of that game, it's just out the window, man. Sam Howell sacked 40 times, on pace to be the most sacked quarterback ever in an NFL season.
More than Luck was, bro. That's insane.
Yeah, more than, I think right now it's David Carr, Darren Carr's brother, who holds the record. I think he was sacked like 70 something times or whatever, and yeah, Sam Howell is clearly on pace to break that right now. So it's just tough, man. Eagles, they really stepped up. I know me and you had a conversation, talked about, what went down during the game, but ultimately I just think it came down to the Eagles being, the more physical team and being able to run the ball more than the Dolphins. The Dolphins they had absolutely no run game, so the Eagles are able to kind of sit back in that quarters coverage, try to play, that soft zone, and kind of keep everything in front of them, whereas the Eagles were able to run the ball a bit. The Dolphins did make a couple nice plays. Christian Wilkins was very active. Jalen Phillips also, I believe, had the first sack from Lane Johnson given up since 2020, so he got going on that strip sack. But the Eagles were able to move the ball a little bit through the ground and ultimately opened up, had a couple double move opportunities on the sidelines, a couple big shots down the field, and I think ultimately that's what won it. And against the Commanders, I know they were they were the first team that beat us last year, and this year it was kind of a close game until A.J. Brown kind of had his breakout against Emmanuel Forbes. But both of those games were at home. The Commanders, for some reason, always play the Eagles better at Philadelphia. Last year when we went to Washington, that's when Devontae Smith had that really big game, had that one touchdown catch and that huge catch over the middle where he just jumped over like two Commander defenders. So back in Washington, I think the Eagles will perform a lot better. And yeah, Sam Howell, best of luck to you, buddy, because this is not a good recipe when you have, a fearless gunslinger quarterback who's not afraid to stand in the pocket and take hits. Well, hopefully his O-line will, you don't want to be that when you have the worst O-line in the league and you're the most sacked quarterback. So you want to get rid of that ball, kind of, get out of the pocket, find ways to, extend the play life and not just stand in the pocket like a statue and stare down the barrel, especially against these Eagles front seven who just get after the quarterback, up there with the best of them. So, yeah, I'll take Philly.
So, even though David Carr is on this list twice, 3 of the top 5 most sacked quarterbacks in a season, they're Houston. I know David Carr was twice, 2002, 2005.
That's probably why his career was so short.
Deshaun Watson, 2018. So, a lot of Houston quarterbacks and not having O-line. I want to shout out Ryan Tannehill, 2013, when the Dolphins had no O-line whatsoever. Randall Cunningham was the second most in 86. Your Eagles, there's some names in here. Russell Wilson, 2022, 55.
Wait, so what's the most?
Same with
David
Justin
Carr?
Fields. Yeah, David Carr, 76 times.
Yeah, 76. I think that's what I said.
And then he was sacked 68 in 2005 as well for the third most. So,
Tough.
I can't imagine it was a fun time for David Carr in
Not
Houston at all.
Not at all.
But yeah, there's some
Wait,
names
what
in
year?
here.
2002? Wasn't that like the expansion season? That was like the first year the Texans were a franchise.
Maybe, but 2002, 2005. John Kitna in 06.
John Kitna, that's a name.
Yeah, man. Not. Never mind. But yeah, so David Carr, most sacked, 76. Next game up, we'll talk about the Dolphins-Eagles when the Dolphins come up on these picks. But Rams-Cowboys, man, going into Jerry's world. Puka Nacua had the game last week. They just couldn't get it done against the Steelers. As you said, the Steelers win in some weird ways. Looked like the Rams honestly should have had that game. They were
a very controversial spot there on that final drive.
Oh, I didn't even see that
for
part.
Kenny Pickett. Yeah, it was. I guess he tried to sneak it. Like, I don't even know if it was a tush push. It might have been or a sneak.
QB.
One of them. Yeah, but he looked clearly short, and they got a favorable spot that kind of prolonged the drive on 4th and 1. So,
oh man. Anyways, the Zebras are going to be the Zebras, man. What can I say? But Rams Cowboys in Jerry's World. Tough game for the Rams. And you know what? I was going to say the Cowboys should have this top teams in the league. I'm going to change my pick, man. Game time decision, man. Give me the Rams. I mean, I just said it, bro. They were moving that ball no problem against the Steelers offense. Matt Stafford being able to throw the ball like he did 2 years ago versus last year when he dealt with that injury. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, two clear-cut number one wide receivers on the same team. I know the injury to Kyron Williams, I think he's going to be out once again this week. Regardless of the fact, Darrell Henderson, longtime Ram, is signed up. I know they got your boy Evans that played 4 special team snaps or whatever. But the Rams, man, Dak Prescott, the Cowboys, they don't excite me. I think they're coming off a bye, aren't they?
They are.
So it's not really a smart pick going with the Rams, sort of just straight gut instinct at this point, man. And I think the Rams receivers are going to eat against this, now lackluster Cowboys secondary.
Yeah, you picking the Rams there against the Cowboys, I'm not going to argue with one bit. I just think the Cowboys at home are the slightly better team, so I'm going to pick the Cowboys. Now, I would love if the Rams won, but in this Pick'em's case, I think this week I like the Dallas Cowboys. Rams, you mentioned, they come out hot. Every single game they played so far, whether it was, I think it was the first half against the 49ers, they've been able to hang around with some of these really good teams, but towards the end, they just kind of run out a little bit juice. So I think the Cowboys at home are able to withstand, that passing attack from you, like you mentioned, those two really good receivers in Kupp and Nacua. Stafford sling the ball around. I think the Cowboys lean a little bit more into the run game, kind of play that possession, keep the ball away from that offense. CeeDee Lamb makes a big play or two here or there. And as long as Dak plays turnover-free football and this defense is able to get a couple stops, I think they'll be able to survive at home. So I'm going to pick the Cowboys.
Next one up, man, NFC North matchup, Minnesota Vikings coming off a huge win yesterday night actually, against the 49ers. Traveled to Lambeau to play the Packers and, meme swirling, Packers Nation swirling around, missing Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love when he doesn't have, the check down going for 30 yards, whatever the case might be. The Packers defense has been holding up real nice. You got some nice weapons over there. Aaron Jones, another week healthy, should be better in that sense. But, I mean, the Vikings sort of do this every year. You kind of think, this is the year they, fell off. Like, they're going to rebuild. Kirk Cousins isn't the guy. And then they somehow end up making the playoffs, just getting in there, winning that NFC North. And I think we're at that point in the season, man.
The Vikings don't always do that. What?
I mean, for 2 years they've done that.
When? They didn't do it last year. Last year, everyone thought they were like the best team in the league, and they got bounced out the first round by the Giants.
Round. I said they get to the playoffs, man. I didn't say they win in the playoffs.
But no, you were like, they come on slow or whatever. Bro, they were one of the best teams all throughout the regular season last year. They had like 4 losses. I get what you're saying, but it's not like that, though. Like, the Vikings aren't like that. They're just...
Well, especially they're like that after last week.
Well, this season, yeah, they're not always though.
It's just the Vikings DNA, man. I don't know. It's being in that Viking type atmosphere. I don't know, but Danielle Hunter coming off a big game last week. Now 9 sacks on the year. Maybe the Vikings hit a little turning point. Someone told me they said Justin Jefferson faking it. They saw him hopping around. That hamstring looked good, man, after the T.J. Hawkinson catch.
100%.
I mean, I don't think so at this point.
And my fantasy team is suffering because of it.
I don't think he's just going to sit out. I know his contract is big. But I got the Vikings, man, on the road, Lambeau, tough environment. Regardless of the fact, I just think the Vikings are going to get hot at the right time and right now. It's going to start now. Maybe, Alex Madison gets his first rushing touchdown this year. The Vikings get a rushing touchdown in general. But the Packers, I mean, they started hotter. They've sort of cooled off, and they right now don't have an answer for anything on offense.
Yeah, I like the Packers here at home. Excuse me. I think we kind of get a game where both teams kind of come back to earth. I mentioned last week where the Packers are a super young team. There's going to be some very big ups and some very big downs, and I think this is one of those weeks where they kind of get back on track, find something they like against a division opponent at home. I mean, I'm not going to say must-win game because at this point, what are your expectations for the Packers? But I think if they win this game, it'll really, really help, the confidence of Jordan Love and, this fan base and Matt LaFleur right now because, things circulating online, everyone calling for his job, saying his play calling, game management isn't the best. So you want to see those guys to get back on track. Jordan Love, just want to see him playing more confident. He has the talent. Just want to see him make the right reads, put the ball where he needs to. And on the Vikings side, like you mentioned, they might be turning the corner. We just saw them have a really, really nice, convincing win on prime time. Now, maybe we're giving the Vikings a little too much credit on, just a night where they kind of caught the 49ers lacking. They caught them slipping. So are the Vikings really that good? Like, are they going to be a top contending team? I don't really think so. I think the Vikings at this point are kind of closer to the Packers than they are the 49ers, even though they just beat them. So I'm going to say this could go either way as well. Like you mentioned, the Vikings, if Jordan Love and that offense don't figure things out, defense has been okay at times, but it's only so much you can do when they're just always on the field. And the Vikings, if Kirk Cousins can continue to, just figure things out. That play calling was really, really good last night as well. So if that play calling and Kirk, just being a very solid quarterback, making some big-time throws in the pocket, O-line was able to protect them against a solid pass rush, then I can easily see the Vikings walking away with this win. But I think the Packers get right. Jordan Love, hits a few of those big plays down the field, and they sneak out with a win at home.
The next game up, man, I just looked at it, and my brain doesn't even want to process this game whatsoever. The battle of the AFC versus NFC South. I mean, Falcons travel to Tennessee to play the Titans in a real matchup of the week, man. I think, we got game of the week, man. We got to come up with a name. Trash can of the week. I don't know, bro. The garbage bowl, whatever you want to call it, of week 8. I liked it the rest of the games. There's some other ones that could be close, but I think this is up there with those. And just I don't have much to say about either of these teams at this point. Just give me Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Falcons here as well. I'm with you. I don't really got much to say. Only thing I will say is Desmond Ridder just keeps trying to lose these games, and they somehow keep winning. So, I mean, just let them keep winning, I guess. I don't know. Atlanta Falcons, your 2023 NFC South champions.
Man, someone's got to win a division.
Hosting a playoff game.
That's insane. AFC East matchup once again for the New England Patriots. They travel to Miami to play the Dolphins, and Bill Belichick, his record comparable in Foxborough to Miami is not great at all. He struggles down there in Miami, and this year being, the Pats not being so good, the Dolphins a little bit better. I'm going to take the Dolphins, obviously. Talked about, what happened in that Eagles game. The rushing attack definitely did not help. But, I mean, it was just really that pressure from that Eagles defensive line. I mean,
the first play, Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I mean,
popped out, yep. Blown
up in the backfield. I mean, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage every play. They reset the line of scrimmage on every run. Kind of reminded me of watching the Browns play defense and the way that front was operating. It was at an elite level with the Dolphins' O-line being banged up and just awful. I mean, it was tough to try to move the ball downfield, even give Tua more than 2 seconds in the pocket. Really limits your play calling. When you can't run the ball and become one-dimensional, I mean, teams figure you out. This is the NFL, and great teams capitalize off that. Not even going to sit here and talk about the officiating because was that bad. But, yeah, once again, it's the NFL, man. You can't control officiating. You can't control calls at the end of the game. You can't. It's none of that. The Eagles just won the game in the trenches, and Dolphins couldn't get it going. So this week, the Pats D-line nowhere near the level. So just give me the Dolphins. Expect that offense to get back on track, and maybe get the run game, going, take the pressure off that offensive line that's been right now. I mean, it's just a handicap on line. It's whoever they could put out there. I mean, Isaiah Wynn just went on IR now this week as well. So I think the Dolphins don't even have a backup guard because their backup guard's playing center right now.
Jalen Carter injured on the first play, wasn't it? I think that
was it the first play?
Yeah, it was like the first series. I think it was.
It was quick. They literally, I think they got to sign someone this week from practice squad because.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Dolphins here as well at home. It's that infamous get right game. Me and you are always talking about, looking for those teams coming off a loss, trying to get back on track. And I think this will definitely be a good one for the Dolphins. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and put up another one of those big 40-point games and score a bunch of points. Defensively, I think the Patriots. It's Bill Belichick. That's what they're known for. I forgot where I was listening. Someone was like, yeah, Belichick, like during practices or whatever, like to emulate going against Tyreek Hill, start receivers like 6 yards down the field and then snap the ball. It just shows you, kind of the ins and outs and how they try to game plan against someone like Tyreek Hill who just isn't fair. And I don't even think that does them justice at all. So, the Pats, I think they'll make a couple nice plays on defense just because Bill Belichick, his pedigree, that defense, he'll scheme a couple things up. But ultimately, to beat the Dolphins, you got to score points. Like Philly just beat them. They had to put up 30-plus points. The Bills, when they beat the Dolphins, they scored 28 points. So these teams, you got to score points against the Dolphins. And I just don't think this Patriots offense is anywhere near capable of scoring points with Miami. The way McDaniels has those guys going, the speed they have. So give me Miami at home. Get right game. Tyreek Hill, he's just unfair, man. I mean, watching him against the Eagles, literally just running straight through a double team to putting the ball out there. Another touchdown he should have had. He just dropped it, took his eyes off, and kind of just his knee, I think, hit it out like at the last second. So it's just unfair, the amount of, space and the separation he gets due to his speed, the amount of respect, how far back the safeties have to play. And when him and Waddle are both on the field, it's basically unstoppable. So I expect the Dolphins. I'm not too worried about them. Although, when it comes to those big games playing against those contenders, you want to see them get over the hump, and I think they'll have some opportunities down the road later on in the season. Right now, I think it was a tough loss, yes, but kind of a loss the Dolphins needed. You gotta figure out one way or another to play against these tough teams. And the Eagles, they've been nice over the last season, made it to the Super Bowl. The Bills are one of the better teams the last couple of years. Starts up front, starts in the trenches. So now I think the Dolphins are kind of finally understanding that if we want to be competitive, we want to win these games, we got to be physical. We can't just run around people. We got to be able to, initiate contact up front in the trenches. And I think the Dolphins they'll be okay. They'll figure it out down the road. And I think this is a good game here against the Patriots. Dolphins, I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Dolphins fan. They get back right. I'm going to pick the Fins at home.
And for how ugly of a game the Dolphins play. I mean, it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You saw a shot. You mentioned the Tyreek Hill drop touchdown. I mean.
And he had another one called back, I think, to holding or something earlier in the game. Yeah.
Dolphins have 2 backup O-linemen right now active on the roster, so I don't know what they'll do, but maybe they just called one up. Jeff Wilson return game also question mark, but not expecting him to be heavily involved in the offense, man. Next game up. New Orleans Saints travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts.
It's another one of those games.
It is. I mean, the Saints had a chance to win that Thursday night game. That was a tough break for Foster Monroe in the back of the end zone. But the Saints, Chris Olave arrest, last night. I mean, Derek Carr, we've seen it. I don't got to touch on it. But regardless... Coach Jonathan Taylor, he was looking like JT of old, man. He was getting after it last week against an elite defense. And whether it was the pass game or the run game, he was getting involved in it. Zach Moss is still no scrub in the backfield. I mean, sort of like a 1-2 punch they got going there, which they need, especially with the backup quarterback in Gardner Minshew, who is he could be a starter at, fringe teams that are really in limbo regardless of the fact, man. Give me the Colts at home.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Colts here at home as well, and that offense is definitely starting to click. And you mentioned Jonathan Taylor. He's kind of looking like his old self. The emergence of Josh Downs. He had a really big game. The rookie out of UNC, I believe. Mm-hmm. Pittman, not happy about his targets, but, I think he had a long touchdown in that game as well. So when he gets the ball, he's a solid option. He can make plays. And Gardner Minshew, like you just mentioned, showing why he's the best backup in the league. Against we talked about it last week, the best Browns defense in the league. He goes out, shows a gutsy performance, able to scramble a little bit, got going through the ground. I think he had a rushing touchdown as well. So I think the Colts will be okay. They're better than the Saints. I mean, Derek Carr is just not what you expected when you signed him to that contract for the Saints. They're in a very tough place cap-wise. I mean, it's like a joke, the running joke, all the memes and stuff. The Saints just never have any money. They keep paying all these guys, and no one's producing, and it's tough. Their defense is solid, but it's just tough when you're on the field the entire time. The offense turning the ball over, giving teams the ball in plus territory. So, yeah, give me the Colts at home. I think it'll be a decent game, but the Colts will definitely get rolling offensively. The Saints are nowhere near on the Browns level, defensively. They're a good team, a good defense, but I don't think they're as good as the Browns. So, yeah, give me the Colts.
Yeah. And we call it, we make the running joke of the, teams being in cap hell. And the Saints, I think they've been there since we've literally been in high school. So, yeah. I mean, that's literally a decade almost at this point in our life.
It's felt like that, yeah.
So, it's crazy. You go back and think about it ever since, they had Cam Jordan, Lattimore was signing those big contracts, Drew Brees you mentioned. I mean, it's been a running clock of them not having cap space for a while. So that's going to lead us to our next game. This was also up, in my garbage bowl. But I like the Texans. They're a fun team to watch, man. C.J. Stroud really coming on, the best rookie quarterback in the class so far. He's facing his counterpart, who's drafted just ahead of him in Bryce Young this week. So it should be fun to watch the two rookies go at it. I'm going to take the Texans on the road. I didn't see your pick, man. I thought it was a little clear cut, but, I mean, both these teams not really great. Texans offense is just, I believe in it a little more, even with the emergence connection of, Adam Thielen on the other side.
Yeah, I really like the Texans as well. C.J. Stroud, you touched on it. He's, off to like one of the best starts ever from a rookie quarterback. Just threw his first interception 2 weeks ago, I believe, before the bye last week. So C.J. Stroud's been everything you want to see from a rookie quarterback. Nico Collins, he's been his number one target, getting involved on the field. Dalton Schultz has been a nice safety blanket. And then Tank Dell has been a fun, explosive weapon for them as well offensively. And then on the defense, they've been pretty good. They got Derek Stingley, Jalen Petrie over the top, and Will Anderson Jr. has really, really come on strong. He's been super productive for them. Miko Ryan's a solid head coach. But, I mean, I really do like the Texans. They're favored. They're probably going to win. I just picked the Panthers just because I want to see the controversy. Bryce Young has his first solid game against C.J. Stroud. Proves he was worth the number one pick. Questions start floating around, The Panthers feeling like they made the right pick. The Texans, who up to this point feel like they made the right pick. You saw the couple of Texan players come out and say, we picked the right quarterback. So Bryce Young, little chip on his shoulder. So I just think that'll be a fun storyline. It'd be nice to see Bryce Young get his first win against the two picks right after him, I believe, and C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson went 2 and 3 right behind them. Mm-hmm. So that'd be a cool little storyline. So that's the only reason I'm picking the Panthers. Not really anything football-wise. I just think it'll be an interesting storyline. And I think the Panthers have to get a win eventually, right? Yeah. Like, they don't have their own first-round pick, so it's not like they have an incentive to tank or lose these games. They're trying to win. They just can't. So I'm going to take the Panthers. Maybe they get the first win this week, coming off of a bye as well. I think both of these teams actually coming off of a bye. So, yeah, give me the Panthers. But, I mean, I would not be surprised if C.J. Stroud comes out, slings the ball all over the place, and proves that he was the right pick. So, either way, I definitely think the Texans win. But, yeah, I'm going to take the Panthers and go with the storyline here. Kind of just a fun pick.
I see, bro. Maybe you should be an NFL scriptwriter at this point, because I mean, shit, it's a nice little plot, man. You put a nice little book to it, call it a short story. But next game up, Cleveland Browns travel to Seattle on the 12th, man. Play the Seahawks, man. I'm gonna take the Browns. You were asking me a ton of questions this week. I told you I just answer them on a podcast. So if you got any questions about, the Browns, now's the time to ask, because
nothing about the Browns. Well, me and you were talking, it was mainly about the Dolphins and Eagles. So, I mean, we pretty much covered all that. The Browns, I mean, I'll just say I picked the Seahawks slightly because of football and slightly because I just knew you were going to pick the Browns in a close game. So, that kind of just made me upset. I was like, of course he's going to go with the Browns. Where if it's any other team, he probably picks the Seahawks. So, I was like, give me this. I'll take the Seahawks. The Seahawks have been one of those teams where they've just been good. They haven't been great, and they haven't been really bad. They've just been a solid team. And, it was DK Metcalf out last week, I believe. It was really nice to see JSN getting involved. I believe he caught his first touchdown pass of his career from Geno last week. Kenneth Walker was really productive on the ground. This defense, Devin Witherspoon, continuing to be, a big play rookie for them on the outside. And they still got Tariq Woolen, one of the better cover corners in the league. So they got a lot of nice pieces on this Seahawks team. I think, that'll be a very tough out at home. I think makes a difference for this team as well. Geno Smith, he's kind of, just embodies what the Seahawks are at this point, Not super flashy, not going to, have all the big numbers, but when it comes down to it, he'll make the right play. He can get the job done. He won't be horrible. And against a Browns team last week, we saw that they could be a little vulnerable, especially with, at this point in the season, even though we got teams, rolling out Mac Jones, we got teams rolling out, maybe not Brian Hoyer, that's a stretch, but Zach Wilson. I know you wouldn't have said Zach Wilson would be a better situation right now at quarterback than the Browns so far this year. So one of the bigger question marks at quarterback right now, especially with the other teams, like Justin Fields, he's out, but we know once he comes back, it'll be his team. Big question mark right now. Deshaun Watson got banged up again, then was on the sideline, looked like he could go, maybe he couldn't, not really sure what was going on there. And then PJ Walker was a USFL legend, but that's about it. He's throwing Hail Marys to DJ Moore. Outside of that, not really much to offer there from the quarterback wise. I think Jerome Ford, he got banged up as well, so that'll hurt. Kareem Hunt probably will continue to take most of the workload. In pass catching wise, Amari Cooper, David Njoku, Elijah Moore, these are guys you like. There's some promise out there, but you just got to be able to get the ball to them, and it's tough right now. Myles Garrett just backpacking this team, has the team on his back. He's the reason they won this game, making big plays in big moments on defense and special teams. So, I mean, if you're a Browns fan, I just really, I don't know, who else other than Myles Garrett right now you just thank for having a winning record and being in this position, because without him, after Nick Chubb goes down, this season could have, turned very dark very quickly. But I think Myles Garrett and his defense has been able to carry them. So I think the Browns will be okay. They just got to figure out what's going on at quarterback. But against a solid team like the Seahawks on the road, I think it'll be tough. So I'm going to pick the Seahawks.
Yeah, 4-2, man. I didn't expect it either, but here we are. Quarterback thing, I want this to be played in front of the Browns organization somehow, some way. This comes from the front office all the way down to the coaches, bro. It's just they got to be fucking better, man. I don't get it. You run Deshaun Watson out there, he takes one hit, and he's out. And Stefanski says he wanted to sit him for precautionary issues. It's bro, why even start the man? Why even practice him on Thursday? Make him go full, and he's struggling to do so. Why wasn't he put on IR 4 weeks ago when he couldn't play? You're talking about putting him in an IR now. Bro, it just make it make sense. It's horribly. I don't think it's so much a question mark at quarterback as who could play for him, bro. It's just like what's going on? Like, I certainly don't have the answer, man. It's just poorly run organization wants to find a way just to mess it all up, man. Shout out MG, shout out Denzel, shout out that whole D line has been balling, man. Grant Delpit, Emerson Island. I think he did get cooked one time last week, but regardless of the fact, man, best DB room, best defense, just best defense in general. Shout out Dustin Hopkins before I don't want to bring any bad mojo to this team, but yeah, shout out to you, big dog. Bengals Niners in San Fran. Bengals, I think they're coming off a bye last week. I don't think they played. Just give me the Niners, man. They're coming off 2 losses in a row. You know, banged up or not, you said it. Everyone's injured at this point in the season. You just got to do better at home. You can't drop one, you know, against a good team like the Bengals who started off really slow. Then they maybe, you know, showed some flashes of the old Cincinnati and, you know, coming off a bye, get another week healthy. This is a game for them. So I think it's going to be a really close one. I think the 49ers prevail. I think Bosa, you know, kind of has a field day with, you know, this Bengals O-line.
You made a pivot earlier in the podcast, and I think I'm going to follow suit here. I'm going to change my pick. I like the Bengals, man. Last night, after watching that game, that 49ers defense showed there were, you know, there's some weaknesses out there on the outside. Ward got caught up, a couple PIs holding, and, you know, Jordan Addison really just got beat early, but throughout the game, as the game kept going on, Jordan Addison just got stronger and stronger. That big touchdown right before the half really just kind of making plays downfield the entire night. TJ Hawkinson really got involved. He was open, seemed like over the middle every single play. So if Joe Burrow has time, which is a big if considering, you know, this O-line, but coming off of a bye week, Burrow, another week to rest that calf. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, he's been banged up. Maybe he's a little healthier now after the bye. So I think the Bengals have the weapons on the outside to go against pretty much anybody, but especially against this 49ers defense. And, you know, watching Fred Warner, he's just all over the place. He's making plays like in the run game, in the passing game. He's like, I saw a clip of him like guarding the check down and jumping up and tipping a pass in the end zone intended like to a post. So he's definitely an X factor. He makes a difference. But if those receivers on the outside are able to get going, I mean, you saw what Jordan Addison did. Just imagine what, you know, Mr. 7-Eleven, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins on the outside are going to be able to do if Joe Burrow just has a little bit of time. So, you know what? I think the 49ers continue to slide. Questions around Brock Purdy. Is he the guy? Is his Linsanity run over?
Linsanity run.
You know, that's the big joke going around on social media right now. I think the 49ers will be fine eventually, but I just think the Bengals and, you know, the way they play and their strengths is kind of, you know, exactly what is the formula that we saw the Vikings use to beat the 49ers last night and kind of, you know, put up some points on what is a really good defense, but looks a little weak on the outside. Their front seven we know is good, but if you're not able to get home, 0 sacks on Kirk Cousins last night, it's going to be a tough outing for those corners and that, you know, that secondary group back there. So I think Joe Burrow, I think they'll get to him a couple times, but if they give him just enough time, give Jamar Chase and T. Higgins just a little bit of time to get open downfield, even give them the ball quick and they're able to make plays on the perimeter away from, you know, Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner in the middle of the field. I think they can get going. I think they can score a couple points. And, I mean, at this point, try to make Brock Purdy play from behind because we've yet to see him, you know, go down the field and make that big drive and win the game. So, I mean, give me the Bengals on the road and, you know, the Eagles continue to just lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's really where this pick came from. I gave all that great Bengals analysis, but yeah, I just want the Eagles to just, you know, lock up the number 1 seed.
All right.
I'm in my Maloney bag right now,
bro. I knew you were gonna go along those lines, but all my picks, I mean, I picked against the Cowboys. My pick, you know, wasn't really whatever, man. Next game up, if I could abolish one team from the league right now, and I think it might be the Denver Broncos who host the Kansas City Chiefs. Just shout out Javonte Williams. Hoping he does good like he did last week. Solid. I think he had 80 rushing yards on like 15 carries. So just keep it up for my fantasy team. But other than that, there's no fun in watching a Broncos game. I mean, just none at all. Give me the Chiefs. That's it.
Yeah, it's going to be a little different in Jordan Love and this young Green Bay offense this week. You're going to play against, arguably, not even arguably, the best quarterback in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes, MVP front runner. And those guys get it done offensively. I'm sure Taylor Swift will be somewhere in the crowd doing a little handshake.
It's an away game.
She was at New York. Like, she'll show up for Kelsey at Denver. It's a nice little city. I've never been there, but one of the more popular cities in America.
Beautiful, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure. So she'll be there. I'm sure she will. Yeah, regardless if she's there or not, Batty's in the crowd or not, I'm sure Travis Kelce, he'll produce. Patrick Mahomes, he'll produce. Rashid Rice, he'll probably score another touchdown. And like you mentioned, Denver, offensively and defensively, just looking for a lot of answers. It'll be tough, but yeah, give me the Chiefs. Arguably the best team, second best team. They're up there. So yeah, I like the Chiefs. Keep rolling.
Next one up, Ravens, man, travel to Arizona and play the Cardinals. This is a should-win game for Baltimore. Being one of the top teams in the AFC, trying to claim that AFC North title as well, as I think they're the number 2 seed or maybe number 3 or 4. Regardless of the fact, they're trying to get that bye. They're trying to get into that top seeding. They're trying to take control of that division, with the Browns kind of hanging around there, and the Bengals and Steelers also kind of hanging around.
Yeah, all those teams just right up there. They're all in it.
Still up for grabs, and you want to come out last week with a huge statement win at home. I want to see them do it on the road against, a lesser opponent in the Cardinals. Nonetheless, road victories in the NFL, tough to come by. So this is a game where, you expect them to come out and win. It's going to be a tough matchup. But Ravens, they got the ball rolling last week with the run game. Gus Edwards looked very solid in the backfield. Lamar Jackson just doing Lamar things. And that game was over. The defense controlled, the Lions, holding them, I think, for less than 10 first downs or some crazy stat. They didn't score until the fourth quarter. Give me the Ravens against the Cards on the road.
Yeah, like right before we started recording, we were like kind of just talking about the games and stuff. You mentioned trap game, like.
It could
be. This definitely has trap game written all over it. I know the public's going to be all on Ravens money.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be interesting coming off of that big win against the Lions. Last week I predicted the game correctly, just the wrong teams. I thought the Lions were going to go in and put a dominant win. But it was the Ravens, man. You mentioned it. Lamar Jackson in that kind of, new passing air raid offense. He's looking better than his MVP year in terms of, able to just stand in the pocket, make throws. He's running. He's getting outside of the pocket, but he's not getting out to look to run. He's getting out to create plays, to extend plays, hitting Zay Flowers down the field. Odell turned the clock back a couple years. Wasn't looking like his prime Odell self, but maybe Odell on the Rams. I'll give him that. He was getting open, had a couple nice catches, and Nelson Aguilar looking like, when he was on that championship run with the Eagles, that I'll never forget that 2017 year. Nelson Aguilar just wasn't dropping passes and was like one of the best receivers in the league. Yeah, he was catching everything. Nick Foles made him look like a beast, but that was the only one season he wasn't dropping passes, and we won the Super Bowl, ironically enough. But yeah, he caught a nice touchdown pass, and then Mark Andrews just continues to be that safety blanket for Lamar. And defensively, when you got a team like the Ravens scoring points and, keeping you on the sideline for the defense, you're coming on the field, you're fresh. They got guys flying all around. Marlon Humphreys, Kyle Hamilton. They got playmakers, Patrick Queen. Those guys will be good. Cardinals, rumors of Kyler Murray returning soon, if not this week, maybe within the next couple weeks. I know he was at practice last week, so they opened up the window to bring him back, which I think would make this Cardinals team interesting. They've been pretty much competitive with every team they've played so far, even getting a nice win against the Cowboys. So think Kyler Murray could definitely add some juice to this Cardinals team. But like you mentioned, man, this is a game the Ravens have to win on the road in a division. Just a couple weeks ago, is it the worst division? Like, we came into the year thinking it'd be one of the best. Beginning of the year, saw a couple weeks, and we were like, is it the worst? Now it's kind of looking like that division everyone thought. All these teams are winning. All of these teams are playing each other very, very tight. So it's going to be, this division, AFC North, is going to come down to, like, the last couple weeks. And when you look at the schedule, if you see, Ravens lost on the road against the Cardinals, this could be one of those deciding games where do you get that number 1 seed or are you a wild card? So it's going to be close. The Ravens want to get that number 1 seed, like you mentioned. It's going to be tough, but on the road, you got to beat a team like the Cardinals. So I'm going to pick the Ravens. Although, listen, we mentioned it. We said the trap game is a possibility. So if it happens, at least we acknowledged it.
It's going to bring us to Sunday Night Football, man. Chicago Bears travel to SoFi and play the Chargers. And I mean, these are like two opposite of the barrel teams almost. One team has their franchise quarterback. One wasn't sure until 2 weeks ago if Justin Fields was still the guy. And then, unfortunately, after having some solid weeks, he gets hurt. We were talking about it. I don't think we know how to say his name. Tyler Badney.
I think it's Tyson Bagnet, something like that.
D2 guy, man.
Yeah.
He went out and performed.
Yeah.
Did his thing. Regardless of the fact, I mean, just give me the Chargers. Justin Herbert. I don't think Staley can choke this one whatsoever. If they can't beat the Bears at home in prime time, I mean, it's just going to be tough. They put up a good fight last week. But once again, in those close games, 1-score games, 2-score, 10 points or less, they find ways to lose them. They don't find ways to win. They find ways to lose. So I think they find a way to win this week.
Yeah, I think the Chargers at home get a win as well. Although this Bears could be a sneaky one of those, Bears fans, historic franchise. They'll travel. There'll be a lot of Bears fans out there.
100%.
Yeah, so maybe it feels a little like a Chicago home game. But you mentioned no Justin Fields, just backup quarterback. It's gonna be a close game. I'm not sure what the line is. I think it's like, I looked earlier, I believe it's like 7.5 or 8 or something like that. I mean, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, a lot of times I can be, but I'm not. I'd definitely take Bears plus the points here. The Chargers just seem to always find ways to make games close. Like you mentioned, they don't win games, they lose games. So down the stretch, you probably get a late Chicago cover. Staley decides to go for it in his own territory after Justin Herbert just got sacked or something like that. And then they don't get it on 4th down and the Bears score just to cover. But, yeah, I don't think it'll be a blowout. It should be on paper, but this Chargers team is just it's a head-scratcher, man. Like, I just don't know, man. It's tough. Austin Eckler really didn't get going at all last week. Quentin Johnson, their first-round pick, has pretty much been quiet. Now is when you'd like to see him step up. With Mike Williams going out for the year, this is like when you need your first-round receiver to kind of show and produce. Just hasn't. Justin Fields has been doing all he can, just not enough. And, yeah, the Chargers – Justin Herbert, excuse me. The Chargers just – they're in a tough spot, man. I don't know. Especially in that division. Can never beat the Chiefs. Yeah, hopefully they should beat the Bears. Hopefully.
Spread set at 9.5, and you're not a betting man. I'm a betting man, but
take the fucking points. I'll tell you that.
Monday Night Football.
Like, Brendan Staley should not be favored like over 4 points against any team in this league. I'm sorry, bro. Like, he just shouldn't.
I want to bet how many 4th down Brandon Staley goes for his own territory, what that line would be. Like 1.5. That's a tough line, bro. That's a good line. I might go over, but it depends what the score is late in the game. Anyways, Raiders-Lions, Monday Night Football. Not sure what's up with Jimmy G, because they could use him back over Hoyer right now. And I don't know why they didn't start the rookie Aiden O'Connell, man. I mean, he came in and he threw a touchdown in garbage time. regardless of the fact, it looks like the better option than Brian Hoyer at this point. Give me the Lions bounce back game after a tough loss. They've been a little primetime team so far this year. Expect them to get it done again, man. At home, tough loss. They get their 6th win of the year. Yeah, 6.
Yeah, Lions at home, coming off of an embarrassing loss against the Ravens. I think they come out and try to prove a point against a banged-up Raiders team. Josh Jacobs just hasn't looked like the Josh Jacobs of last year. Devontae Adams, he's been banged up throughout the year. I mean, it's hard to, get him involved, get him the ball when Brian Hoyer is your quarterback, I believe. I think I heard this stat on the Bill Simmons podcast somewhere. I think it was, but Brian Hoyer's on a 13-game losing streak as a starter. I believe that's like the second longest in NFL history. I think who's the Browns quarterback? He's the only one that lost the more games.
Tim Couch?
No, when they 2016 Deshaun Kaiser.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he lost 16 straight. Yeah, he started when they lost. They
I don't
win a
think
game.
he started every game, but I mean, regardless of the fact, that was a tough rotating door.
Yeah. Brian Hoyer, not a winning quarterback at this point in his career. Not sure if he ever was, but Lions get back right. They got too much talent on that team, so I think they get the job done here.
So they did get a win earlier this year, but that's when he came in. He was 6 for 10.
Yeah, he wasn't a starter.
Well, he didn't start those games in 21 either. I'm looking back. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't won a game as a starter. Damn. I mean, I'm back in 2018 now. I mean, you could say the last 13. And I didn't win one in 18. I mean, this dude's been playing since 2009, though. Postseason, shit don't matter. Wow. 2017, he started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 games, he went 0-5. Anyways, that was when he was with New England.
There's a Brian Hoyer deep dive for you.
Yeah, I mean, I could keep going, but I got to click every single year, and I don't think anyone cares. He's 38, in case anybody was wondering what his last win as a starter. Detroit Lions, I mean, he threw for 36 times. It's got to be a win.
Oh, there you go. His last win was against the Lions. Maybe this is a
Sunday, October 2nd, 2016. He went for 302 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, 77% completion rating, 120 passer rating.
That was the old Lions, not the Dan Campbell-led Lions.
Okay, bud. Basketball, man, season's back. Lakers, Nuggets, they've already tipped. 9-point lead for the Nuggets at the half, man. Just excited for this season. But yeah, I mean, regardless of the fact, what are your comments? NBA season coming up, man. I know you're excited. I'm excited. We're in fall sports, man. Best time. You get all 3 sports locked in. The big 3.
It'll be fun. I think, right now it's just, to me, the most interesting storyline is what's going on over there in Philadelphia. I mean, even though I'm an Eagles fan, I'm not a 76ers fan, but, is James Harden going to get shipped out? Saw Terrence Mann isn't going to be playing their season opener. Is that because he's about to get, dealt in a package for Harden? Saw a little report today saying the Knicks would be, they'd offer Julius Randle, like a bunch of players, a bunch of picks for Embiid. So, potential some movement over there in the East, and I think it'll be interesting. The NBA is just I just like it because there's just so much the star powers and stuff like that. Just so much movement, all those players on new teams and stuff. So it adds a variety. I think it'll be fun, but I mean, after what we saw Jokic and the Nuggets, what they did last year, you got to say they're the favorites, right?
I mean, yeah, I'm going with them. I wouldn't say. I know there's been a lot of, other teams thrown in the mix. But I watched the Nuggets in the final. It's just that the way they were able to dominate it's unreal.
Definitely is.
I hope, the Heat somehow find a way to get back. Whatever, Tyler Hero comes back. He hasn't really been healthy, in the playoffs at all. So, give him credit for, just being skilled. If he's there, is it a different series? I don't think the Heat win, regardless of the fact the Nuggets should be the clear-cut favorite. Don't know why they shouldn't. They downplay Jokic, and, Denver's a smaller market compared to these, teams we hear about, Philly, L.A., now Milwaukee's up in the mix because they got Giannis and Dame.
Although I like that Giannis and Dame combo is just what else after that? At this point, when you look at all these teams that are contending, that are trying to make playoff pushes, I mean, all of their third guy is a lot better than Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez at this point. So I feel like with the Bucks, when you get into those playoffs, when you get into that 7-game series where you play the same team over and over, and they try to figure something out to, they maybe stop Giannis a little bit. I mean, you can't stop him, but they slow him down a little bit. They try to, run Dame off that 3-point line. Who else can they defer to kind of, bring that offense along, and defense too? I don't know who's going to be guarding the perimeter for that Bucks team. When you look at those
Middleton.
yeah, maybe in 2018, not now, but when you look at those top teams like the Nuggets, they have Jokic and Jamal Murray, but you saw it down the stretch, especially in the finals. You had guys like Michael Porter Jr. step up, hit big shots. You saw KCP come through clutch, had a big steal in the finals, knocked down a couple free throws. He had a couple big games. A lot of role players stepping up for Denver. You look at the Lakers, AD and Bron, but Reeves, we saw him take a really big leap in the playoffs. Even in Team USA, continue to get better. So he's like that third guy now, to where if AD and Bron aren't options, or one of them's injured, he can kind of carry the weight. The Celtics are maybe arguably the deepest team in the league. Tatum and Brown, they're the two highest paid guys, the superstars, but they just got Holiday. They got Derek White, two arguably best perimeter defenders in the league. Porzingis, if he can stay healthy, he's looking like he'll be a crazy fit in that offense. So a lot of these teams that are trying to contend, they have depth, whereas the Bucks with Dame and Giannis, maybe the best duo in the league, top-heavy wise, but I mean, it's a team sport. You need more than just two guys to win. So that's why I think, teams like OKC, those young teams, they'll be really fun to watch this year because they got 5 young guys that can just all contribute, led by Shai, who is just all-pro, all-star. He's looking to take another leap, and I think they'll definitely be a very fun team to watch.
Yeah, man. I think, I've been saying it since last year. OKC, not the greatest team, bro, but they're fun to watch. They're young. Josh Giddey, SGA, they got talent. They got draft picks to come.
Yeah, Chet, he'll be back fully healthy this year.
Yep.
And Jalen Williams, both Jalen Williams, but I think J-Dub, the wing, who stepped up, he's been really, really solid. So, and then your boy Lou Dort, solid perimeter defender.
Zoe Sniper. He's a lockdown defender, man.
Yeah, they got a lot of talent.
Nice, man. What are they calling? They were calling him the little Haitian sniper, man. What was that, when he was locking up Harden? Yeah.
Oh, man.
We're recording this right now. NLCS Game 7 going on right now, man. Going for the small market poverty franchise for the past 20 years. The Diamondbacks 1-1, either bottom 2 or top 3, regardless. 1-1. I'm going D-backs, man. I am a betting man, so I might have threw a little bit of bread on money line D-backs tonight. Regardless of the fact Astros out the playoffs, Rangers somehow get to the World Series. It's gonna be a fun time for baseball. I want to see a little Rangers D-backs CS, man. World Series. It's gonna be fun, man. Like I said, the big trifecta, the 3 fall. This is where they all intertwine right here. So it doesn't get better than this. Got sports on almost every night.
Exciting times.
Facts. You got any last comments, statements, anything like that?
No, man. Just about to go just watch the rest of this Lakers game and catch the Warriors game later tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll be watching baseball. as well as basketball, probably a little. Maybe play that Spider-Man game a little bit. Who knows? Regardless of the
Miles
fact,
Morales.
a little Miles Peter, 2-piece. Anyways, man, episode 62. Go pod, TikTok, like, comment, share. Go, YouTube, Apple Pod, Spotify, all that, man. Like, comment, sub, share. Do all that. And until next week, man, peace.